In the early 2000s, I worked at a homeless shelter in Sunrise, Florida. I was hired on as an overnight case manager, and my shift was from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And while I was there, I was tasked with numerous activities. I serviced children ages 14 to 17 in the program, and they lived there. They were housed there. So the property functioned like dormitories. You had a girl's side, a boy's side, and also on the girl's side, you had moms and babies. So during my first week, I was okay. My second week is when things started to take a turn. While I was there, I was told to return some items back to the moms and babies floor. And the moms and babies floor, they had a classroom at the lower floor, and it consisted of like toys for infants, changing stations, books and pamphlets about being a parent and being a mom. And I was, told to return these items. So I brought the toys downstairs. Opened the door. This is around maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And when I walked in the room, immediately there was a rocking chair in front of me that started rocking. And then it just stopped abruptly. And I'm just kind of frozen there, trying to comprehend exactly what's happening. And I just hurried up and put the toys in the box. And as soon as I put the toys in the box, I started hearing the toys going off. There were quite a few mechanical toys that made noises, and it was so creepy. One toy was laughing, going, ha 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 ha. It was just creepy, and I took off. Like, I hurried up, locked the door, and got out of there. So that was the first experience or encounter with a spirit or haunting. The next night was fine. Everything seemed normal. And during that same week, something else happened. And this was just completely shocking. Part of my job is to prepare the office for the next shift that's coming on the morning staff. And a part of that job involves me just cleaning up the office and mopping the floor. So I went to retrieve the mop and bucket from the storage room. And when I went into the storage room, I saw with my own eyes the mop fly off of the floor like this, float up, and you saw the mop, the bottom part of the mop dangling, and then it flew forward, and the wooden part hit me in my nose. So when I saw this, I was just in utter shock. After the mop connected with my nose, I backed up, and I was feeling quite dizzy because it was a hard hit to my face. And I kind of staggered back and, tried to maintain my balance and get the hell out of there. I told my supervisor what I saw, and he laughed at me. And I'm going to call him B. B laughed. He was like, "Oh, you just need some sleep, Casey. It's going to be okay. Don't even worry about it. It's an overnight shift. And, if you don't get enough sleep, your mind will play tricks on you." So I've seen ghosts, so I know that it wasn't my mind playing tricks on me. But a part of you is trying to rationalize it, because this is not only, this is a haunting. I'm, not only seeing ghosts around my neighborhood or in my home, now they're at work with me. So it was a whole different ballgame. So I, that night, after I worked my shift and I went home, I got some sleep, and the hauntings didn't stop there. They continued. So at the job, I tried to keep my mouth shut. I did talk to the staff about, what I saw, and the organization at the time was run by nuns, religious people. So they were like, "Oh, don't pay it any mind. You just probably need some rest." And they excused it away. They were like, "Don't get the kids riled up." So I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything to the children. After a while, the children started to notice things. One particular room, on the second floor, the girls were always riled up on that floor, and it was always some type of issue in one particular room. And every time, like clockwork, somebody would come to stay in that room. They would never stay there past the next night. They will just stay there one night and then they're gone. They leave the shelter. They don't want to be there anymore. And I was curious as to what was going on. So I kind of tested that theory. The bed was available. A girl went in there, and the same night she was complaining of not being able to sleep. She stated that she heard voices. She stated that she was uncomfortable. And I'm just like, what is up with this room? So one night the girls were screaming. They came to get me from the office. It was like around 3 something in the morning. And I was just like, what's going on? So they were like, "Miss Casey, look at the wall." So I looked at the wall and looked at, the bed where it was, and there was something casting a shadow of a person. You could clearly see the silhouette of a person. You could see the head, the torso, and the hip, just like somebody was laying down in the bed. And the bed was empty. And I moved the sheets and I moved things around the room, and there was nothing. There could have been nothing casting the shadow. So when we were staring at the, thing, and I'm just like kind of scratching my head trying to figure out what it was, I felt something zoom past us. It pushed past us so forcefully, and then one of the girls screamed out, and we looked down, and her leg was scratched and bleeding. And I'm like, wow, okay, whatever this thing is, it's dangerous. So I made an incident report. And the incident report, I really didn't know what to say. I said she was scratched by some unknown object. And I wrote the incident report up. I talked to my boss about it, and he was like, there's no such thing as ghosts. And I know there's such thing as ghosts. I've witnessed them with my own eyes, and I've been seeing them since I was a child. I know things that exist outside this plane that people don't believe in, but they're actually there. So after that night, I was just kind of like, wow, there's something in this room. So I don't know what happened. One of the orders went in, and they decided to change out the mattress. Because like I said, every girl that stayed in this room, they would leave. They would never stay there. So they changed the mattress. And from then, nothing else happened. And you should have seen this mattress too. Like, it had weird stains in it. Some of them looked like straight up, sus. It was just weird. And I looked at the mattress. I just got this eerie, dark, seeping feeling. I can't really explain it. And when they took it out and moved it past me, I felt that. So when they got rid of the mattress, things were all quiet in that room. Nothing else happened. There was another night that I was sitting at my desk, and this actually happened before the incident with the girl getting scratched. I was sitting at my desk, and the way that the office is a small office. It's actually really small. And whoever did the double-sided glass, they didn't do it properly, because you can't look out. It's pitch black when you look out. But if somebody's walking by, they could see you inside. That's how it was set up. So one night I was sitting and doing my notes for the night, because we have to write notes on the girls to, see how they're doing, whatever happened in the day. So I recorded all my notes, and I was sitting there, and while I'm writing, I noticed a little boy. And I'm looking out thinking that he's outside, but I just figured out that he's inside and behind me. And he was wearing a derby hat. He had on suspenders and like a crisp white shirt. And he was just curiously looking. And I was scared. I didn't feel anything dark or eerie about him. He was just curious. That's what it seemed like. But I was kind of like shocked. So I didn't really move. And he kind of looked over inquisitively, and then he vanished. So it was confirmed that there are definitely spirits on the job site. So while there, another incident occurred on the job site. And this one by far was the most, I guess, shocking. I was with B, my supervisor, one night. We were both asked to work, and I was working the girl side while he was working the boy side. And the way the office is set up for this split floor is that you could share an office, and you have a door to each hallway. And B was hanging out with me in the office, and we were watching the monitors and talking, and I did my room checks and everything was cool. So we're having a conversation, and we see a girl on the monitor, and she's in this long white nightgown, and we see her. She has dark hair, and she's walking down the hallway. So B says, because of course I'm monitoring the girl side, he's monitoring the boy side. He's like, oh, one of the girls is up, make sure she gets back to her room. So I said, sure. So I go in the hallway, and I'm looking out there, and I don't see anybody. Now, B is on the walkie. He calls me on the walkie. He's like, she's right there in front of you. Are you not seeing her? And I'm not seeing this girl. I'm kind of scared now. I actually feel like something is around, but I'm not seeing it. But he clearly sees this entity on the monitor. So I'm telling him, like, I don't see anything out here. He was like, she's right there. And he was upset with me because he thought I was playing a joke on him, which I was not. So I explained to him that she wasn't out there, and I went into the rooms, and everyone was sound asleep. Nobody, was out of their bed or up or anything. So that was just bizarre. But the girl he was seeing on the monitor was actually a spirit, and she wasn't there. And when I came back to the office, I'm talking with him and letting him know that there was nobody there. So years later, after I left the job, I found out. Actually, I left the job sooner than that. I think after that incident, I was there a year, and I was just like, you know what, it's time to go, because these ghosts are way too close for comfort. So years later, several years later, I investigated the homeless shelter, and found out it was actually a hotel back in the day. I believe in the 1920s. And this hotel was beautiful. It was built on the beach. And we were only a few blocks from the beach. You could walk to the beach if you wanted to on your break or whatever. But it was a hotel where a lot of children went missing. Children were found dead. And it's just weird that those spirits are still there to this day. And when I first signed up for the job, I didn't have any of these eerie feelings, but at night they came, like, you know, late at night. And it wouldn't be like 10, 11, 12. It would be like 2, 3, or, you know, sometimes actually it would just be between 2 and 3 a.m. Like beyond 3, like 4 o'clock, I never felt anything. But around those times, and they said that it could be a witching hour, and that's why these spirits were more prevalent, because they said the veil is thinner at that time and spirits can cross over into our world. And since I can see them and sense them, it was like a mecca for these things, and it was a bit much emotionally to deal with that. And then not only are you trying to do your job effectively, but there's also, you know, spirits roaming the property. So with seeing these things, and these things actually making physical contact with other people, I think was extremely scary. You know, them scratching the girl and throwing the mop at me, it was just too much. And I thought if they could physically do these things, that makes them very dangerous. So that night, B went to investigate for himself. He couldn't believe what he was seeing on the monitor. He thought it was a practical joke. So he went to comb, you know, the section to make sure that that girl didn't exist. She vanished. He actually saw her vanish on the camera, which I failed to mention. He saw her vanish just like that into thin air. So with him seeing this, I guess after that point, he became a believer, because there, like I said, other things that exist outside of this plane that are supernatural. Being able to see things has always been difficult for me, because I'm trying to describe it to people or tell people what's going on. And of course, there are people out there that just don't believe in that stuff, and I get it. Skepticism is a thing. I totally get it. And until you see with your own eyes certain things that I've seen, it would still make you feel uneasy and kind of crazy. And you want to share this with people, but you know that people will look at you weird. So seeing spirits is something that I've been seeing these since I was 8 years old, and it has been a journey trying to accept it. My grandma, God rest her soul, she told me it was a gift. She used to be able to see them too. Her mother used to be able to see them too. Probably her mother before her mother. It's just been something. It has been honestly, it's been tough, because I don't want to see these things all the time. I want to be able to flip it off like a light switch, but I can't. So, and I noticed that I can't see everything. There's some things that I could see. Some of the curious ones, some sinister ones. Sometimes it's far away. I've heard spirits calling out. I've heard them screaming. They sound kind of tormented. It's all a bunch of things. So, yeah, I just wanted to share this with you and let you know, or take a peek behind my veil, you know, to see what's going on with me as a seer, I guess, or of some sort. I don't claim to be a psychic or a clairvoyant or anything like that, but I know that I could see spirits. So that was my ghostly experience at the haunted shelter in Sunrise, Florida. And if you know anyone who's seen ghosts, if you've seen ghosts yourself, or if you had any scary encounters, definitely list those in the comments below. I would love to hear from you.